This program contains crazy material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to a VO's Padded Room. Here on episode 3, the guys sit down with Marcus Walsh and talk broadcasting. So strap on those straitjackets and join us in a VO's Padded Room with your hosts, Big Jim and Brad Storm.
We are finally set free of our straps on a VO's Padded Room, as this week's guest has wanted to be behind the mic since he was a child, watching the news, Wheel of Fortune, and eventually discovering his passion for sports broadcasting. Our guest is an Ashland University grad with a major in sports communications, and now is turning his sights to the voiceover industry, utilizing his vocal abilities and music, impressions, and delivery. Take your work seriously, but don't take yourself seriously, because Marcus Walsh is trapped in a VO's Padded Room. Marcus, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brad. That was definitely quite an introduction. I appreciate it.
I've been in here too long lately, bro. Trapped in the box.
How's everything going today?
Everything's good. Got back to the grind a little bit, got back to work, because last 2 weeks, man, I've been out of it with my surgery and everything. So I finally felt good enough to try to get things and try to play catch up.
I got you. Yeah, how are you feeling? A little bit better?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Not too bad. Like I said, slowly but surely. I was beating myself up earlier, and I'm sure everybody else out there does the same. But when you're not doing as much, and I want to see everybody succeed, but when you're looking at your buddies and they're doing great things, you're like, man, I'm laying here in bed because I can't breathe. So, you just got to kind of get over that and work yourself through that. So, but outside of that, good to go.
Welcome, Marcus. It's awesome to have you, man.
Thanks, Big Jim. Appreciate it, buddy.
Okay, going back to the beginning, man. This goes back a long, long way, and I'm just gonna let you kick it off. This is your platform. This is your padded room, my friend. So, have at it.
Well, it pretty much started around, I'd say, age 2 or 3. I used to watch Peter Jennings' World News Tonight on ABC, and obviously would sit in front of the television and imitate him. And, I remember watching coverage of the war in Iraq, like in 92, 93, whenever that was. I was actually, I think it was 91, 92. So I was like 3 or 4 years old at the time. I'd just sit in front of the TV and watch what Peter was doing.
Yeah.
And try to imitate him. And they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Hey.
And so that's how it started. And then a couple years later, I started watching game shows. I still, as much as I love sports,
game shows, they're ridiculous.
I still am a huge game show fan. And Pat Sajak, Alex Trebek, the late great Dick Clark. Those are some of the greats that I've watched and have watched for years.
You think about that, Marcus. You think about that, and the game shows were huge. Like back in the 80s and 90s, you couldn't turn the channel during mid-afternoon, early morning. There's some kind of game show going on, or late evening. What do you think about the game show network now that it's 24 hours? A lot of the games have changed, and a lot of the voices have changed.
Yeah.
Have you kept up to date with what's going on now?
Well, I actually don't have the game show network on my Hargrave cable package, but it has changed a lot. You don't see Dick Clark with the pyramid, either $25,000 or $100,000 pyramid much anymore. Certainly Bob Barker was great with The Price is Right. Drew Carey's done a heck of a job with that show himself.
Yeah, he'll be there for a while.
Yeah, he has. Even not just the hosts of those shows, but the announcers that typically 99.9% of the time you don't even see. You see George Gray on The Price is Right. Occasionally you see Johnny Gilbert on Jeopardy now the last couple of years, but Charlie O'Donnell as well with Wheel of Fortune all those years that he was the announcer for Matt and Vanna and everybody. Roddy was great.
Roddy and The Price. Yeah, buddy.
Johnny Olson before him. So, I kind of ended up watching and listening to all these great voices. And then I started watching and listening to sports, and I was like, that's where it's at. And I've certainly branched out.
Hey, you were 4 years old watching news, and you kind of gradually went to sports. What was can you remember, have a vivid, memory of the first game you watched and was like, this is it. This is what I need.
Really the first game where it meant a lot to me. I actually do remember sitting down with my brother and my dad watching the Cleveland Indians take on the Atlanta Braves in the World Series in '95. Yeah. And I don't remember that series, game by game, obviously, but I can remember pretty vividly Tom Glavine standing on top of that mound for Atlanta in, I think it was games 2 and 6, just looking in at Javi Lopez, and I guess it would have been Eddie Perez as well.
Call it right now, like you would call it.
And he's just chomping. Well, I can't really call it because I can't really vividly remember it, but I remember him just chomping on that gum as he's looking for the sign, shaking off his catcher, nodding yes, and firing in a pitch. And Tom Glavine's become a very good color analyst now for Atlanta over the last several years.
Atlanta's always had some good ones.
And they've had great broadcasters going back, of course, with Skip Carey and his son Chip.
Oh, gosh.
All the color commentators, Joe Simpson and Don Sutton, who was a great pitcher in his own right. The guys now, Tom Glavine and Jeff.
You talk about that.
Yep.
You talk about that. I'm going to touch on this too, because this just happened recently with Mike Brenneman, with the Reds.
Tom Brenneman.
Tom Brenneman. There you go. I'm bad with names.
Cincinnati,
yeah. So
about this a lot.
Talk about the importance of always being careful about an open mic.
Yeah. I was given a rule by one of my best friends in college, and it turned out to be a very good rule, certainly, that whenever you are around a mic, even if it's not on, you have to pretend that it's on. You have to anticipate. Pretend is a bad word, a wrong word. You have to anticipate that mic being on, because especially when you're out on remote, whether it's doing a football game or a basketball game, and you've got people back in the studio, whether it's 5 minutes down the road or a half an hour down the road.
Yeah,
those people can put those mics up at any time.
Yeah.
You always have to know that mic can go on at any time, and you definitely have to be ready and certainly know what not to say. And unfortunately, and this is not the first time that it's happened, I won't, of course, get into what was said, but it's not the first time that an announcer has said something.
No, lately it's been happening more and more.
That thinking that his mic was off when in fact it was not. And I mean, it's happened probably with more teams than you could imagine. And it's very unfortunate in that side of things.
Yeah.
Makes for a hell of a blooper reel, though.
That's true.
Guy loses his job, loses his life, pretty much. I mean, wasn't his father ahead of him?
What's said, though. It depends on what's said, though. I mean, if you're
pretty much what he said was bad news.
Oh, I don't know the instance you're talking about, but
what he said was very bad news. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not a nice thing at all. Marty Brenneman, before Tom, was in the business working solely for the Reds for like 30, 40 years. I think even longer than that. I think like 50 years. And he worked with Joe Nuxall. I've got another best friend of mine from college who's a huge Cincinnati Reds fan. So I was talking to him yesterday about the incident. And it's not, and for as great as an announcer that I knew Tom Brenneman to be, I was very surprised and very disappointed in what happened the other night.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? Now you learn from their mistakes, and obviously you're not going to make those mistakes. What's your future goals here? I know you want to get more involved in voiceover. You've done a lot of voiceover work already. You're credited for a lot of work. You want to go into that a little bit?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just an avenue to kind of expand a little bit, and try to see what I can get myself into. The big thing is with certain aspects of it, I was very hesitant at first, but my
Which
initial
ones? Which ones?
well, I'm working more and more and more on the technological side of things. So that's where I'm really learning post college. And I learned, a certain amount in college,
Mhm.
no question. But I had a lot of other things, of course, that I had to do,
Right.
and getting a degree. So it's good time, I think, now, especially because we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and who knows if I'm going to be on the football field, either doing play-by-play or color commentary or side reporting within the next couple or few weeks. I thought it was a good time to just kind of branch out, maybe learn some new skills. And bottom line is, the worst thing that could happen out of all of this, in the positive sense, is it's a great way to network. At least I get to know other people.
Yeah.
And
Right.
networking for me is huge.
Yeah.
Communication for me is huge. I've got a major in it and I've got a minor in it. So
Nice.
the more
Ashland University, right?
correct. And
Talk about a little bit about Ashland University. Yeah. Sports
man.
communication major, right?
Yeah.
And speech minor.
Correct.
Excellent choices. there.
It was a tremendous place. I will say that there was never a doubt in my mind as soon as I got onto the campus,
Mhm.
on that summer day in 2007, that's where I wanted to go. And I had looked at, it was 5 other schools before coming to Ashland. And before I even talked to anybody, I just got out of the car, walked maybe 10 feet, and I didn't even walk into a building yet.
You
And
knew
my
you
mom
were
was-
home, huh? You knew you were home by then.
I told my mom, I said,
That's it.
this is where I want to go to college. If I'm blessed enough and fortunate enough to get accepted here, this is where I want to go to college. And my mom probably thought, hold on a little bit, you just got here.
Yeah.
There's
But
Sometimes you just know.
I knew then that's where I wanted to go. And if I didn't go to Ashland, I would have gone to Otterbein University in Westerville, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. But I wanted to be a little bit closer to home. My parents at the time lived in Canton, and I had grown up in Canton. I had family that lived in Worcester, which ended up turning out great, especially in the middle of my 5-year tenure at Ashland, because I was the voice of Worcester Oiler hockey for
Nice.
for an internship.
What's the most challenging thing about calling hockey games?
There is no question about it, and you and I have talked about it off the air, Brad. It is the fast pace, but even more than that, and actually the fast pace helped
The
me
names.
with my basketball ability to play. I play for basketball, but the hardest thing's the names, especially with the minor league hockey, because you've got the French Canadians, and then you've got the Russians, and then you have occasionally some people that are pure French or pure Canadian.
Then you get one American. You're like, all right.
And then you get an American thrown in there, and you're like, oh, finally.
Joe Jones.
Man,
Just hit the puck.
So that is easily, along with the pace, but I was able to get through with that. The names were easily the toughest thing. And I was learning the game, honestly, on the fly. The first game that I ever called, I ended up calling a goal or something. And I referred to the ice being a basketball guy or a football guy or a baseball guy.
Yeah.
I called the ice the floor and the
Oh.
ground multiple times.
Yeah. Well, hey,
And
you got to learn somewhere, right?
that's right. My dad and I were still talking about that just the other day and laughing about it. So that was a huge highlight. I had radio shows that I hosted and then co-hosted with friends.
Yeah, the Sports Buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my show.
Yeah, what about Matt in the evening? Were you just part of that show?
Had multiple co-hosts for the Sports Buzz. Matt in the evening and What's Brewing in Sports. I co-hosted a couple of times. I co-hosted What's Brewing in Sports a lot. A couple of times I co-hosted and sat in on Matt in the evening. They were great. Matt Brubaker and Matt Porter, and I'm still best friends with Brew to this day.
Did that get you into transitioned in? Did that help you transition into being a sports director? Or is that?
Really, it was kind of everything that I was able to do as long as I was there. Matt ended up graduating a year before I did, so he completed it in 4 years. I had to do the super senior year, as we like to say.
Yeah. So did you go to the Columbia School of Broadcasting before you went to Ashland?
I did. I was in high school, and
okay, like an internship.
My mom thought it was a really good idea, and she kind of looked into it for me, and she said this might be a great thing to do. And I did radio announcing and promos. That's really the Columbia School of Broadcasting is really where, with the promos and whatnot, where the thought of voiceover really happened for me.
Well, now let me ask you a question here on, did you find it hard to switch from radio personality to voiceover? Because it's a big difference. You've got to kind of dial it down, I guess, if you will, right?
That is a good question, and I will answer that by saying not yet, because a lot of the voiceovers that I've done have been for WHHI TV down on the south end of Hilton Head Island, and certainly for broadcast purposes. So not yet. Maybe I'll get there at some point, but I'm still even within the voiceover commercial mode, I'm still broadcast centric.
Right. Still within that same mode or genre. That's awesome. Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's really, I was able to do a lot, and with everything I was doing, being on TV, radio, calling games, doing some hits, working some things in class, talking to people that had the same interests as I did, kind of the networking, figuring out where things were going to go as far as who was covering what, and as the sports director, that really kind of fell on my shoulders as far as
that's good though.
Me dictating, my own work for certain hits on the radio, and then assigning other assignments and stuff to other people.
That's pretty much what I did with MMA Mayhem Radio when we were doing stuff. So yeah, there's
a guy on TikTok I've been watching. Hilarious. I want Bobby something. Man, he's just, I don't know. He throws it in.
Oh, he makes fun of everything. He swears a lot.
He swears. He's like, oh my God, look, they knocked his fucking head off. I'll have to send you the link to some of his stuff, man. It is hilarious. I can't think of I know it starts with an M, but it's hilarious. I don't know. Is that time?
Oh, it's time.
It is time. You're right, man. There it goes.
You gotta hit that again, man. I want to hear that awesome stuff again.
Let's see this.
I want to hear it again. Oh,
yeah. Oh,
I like it.
It's time.
All right, bro. Take it away.
It's time. All right, guys. That sound only means one thing. It's time for another round of the padded improv. All right, today's guest, we have Mr. Marcus Walsh here. Hey, Marcus. Woo! I had the clap thing, but I don't know where the hell it went. All right, buddy. So today we've got a script up in the chat for you. It's the 2013 Heisman preview, I guess if you will. And today we're going to have you do two reads. Of course, you can do the your regular sports announcing, but first,
okay.
I'd like to hear you do the read as a musical.
Okay.
Now do it. Now, are we going to make him sing this whole script, or should we go up to like award?
Maybe to award. Okay.
Yeah, sing it to award, but then when you do it in your broadcasting voice, do the whole thing.
Okay, so
'cause that'll go.
the first two paragraphs singing it.
Yeah, from the 2013 all the way up to football's top individual award.
Right. And
Like it
then
would be a musical, right?
that-
Absolutely.
that last paragraph of round one, if you will, do you want me to throw in some impressions?
You can, yeah, if you
Absolutely, man.
do what you really want. If you want to sing it, sing it. If you want to do an impression, do an impression.
All right, I'll throw a couple impressions in on that third paragraph.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, mix it up. Have
It's
fun.
yours,
This
man.
is your padded
Game
room,
is-
brother.
All right.
Absolutely. Get it.
The 2013 Heisman Trophy race promises to field a group of dual-threat quarterbacks that have displayed the ability to impact the game with their tremendous passing and rushing skills. The trend of all-purpose quarterbacks dominating the Heisman chase continued in 2012 as Texas A&M's Johnny Manziel captured college football's top individual award.
Oh, yeah, good job, buddy. I like that.
That's pretty damn impressive,
That was,
actually.
I know, I was, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't laugh too much. I was almost in tears. I mean, that was nice. Nice.
You gonna roll with the second paragraph and do some impressions?
Heisman voters have had a fixation with these athletes that have refined the quarterback position in recent years. Florida's Tim Tebow, he's awesome with a capital A, baby. He opened up the floodgates it is Gainesville, Florida, after all, on this new Heisman era by running and passing his way to the bronze trophy in 2007. Since then, the award has been garnered by similar performances from Auburn's Cam Newton,
Go
Baylor's Robert Griffin III, and the Aggies' Johnny Football.
Nice.
Nice.
All the way, baby. I love that.
And
That was
for
awesome.
those that didn't know those voices, that was first off Regis Philbin. May he rest in peace.
Mhm.
Really,
Rest in
really
peace.
missed Reach. Secondly, that was Dick Vitale.
Yeah, of
Mhm.
course.
And then being that it was football, I had to throw a little bit of Brent Musburger in at the end.
Oh, Brent.
Absolutely.
Good old
Absolutely.
Brent Musburger.
You remember?
All right.
what-
All right.
what
One
was
more
his name?
time.
What was his
Give
name? What was his name? Brad Cosell. That
Howard
2013
Cosell.
Yeah, Howard Cosell, the 2013 Heisman Trophy race promises to field a group of dual threat quarterbacks.
Howard
Let's
Cosell
have
was
this.
one of the kind. I was big into wrestling, so I was with Mean Gene Okerlund and
My
Gordon
dad,
Soley.
has a couple of books of Howard Cosell. And actually, one of the guys at ESPN that has really modeled, or that I've rather really modeled my career after, is Mike Greenberg.
Mm.
Okay.
Host of Greeny on ESPN radio and Get Up on ESPN during the mornings. And he has said that Howard Cosell was the guy that he really looked up to growing up.
Yeah, you could always respect those mentors and respect the people that you look up to. Sometimes though, you'll actually meet them and they're like, oh man, he wasn't really
And
that cool at all.
I've been fortunate enough to do that too.
You know, I used to meet a lot of wrestlers and I'd be like, I thought they were really cool. And then some of them would just ask me for drugs all the time. I'm like, I'm not a drug dealer, man. Come
Oh,
on.
Jiminy. Wow.
You got
I
an
can-
8-ball on you? Oh, you got some weed? That's all they ask you for. I was like, hey, man, I really respect your game. And then they just tell me that. And I'll be like, oh, well,
That's horrible. That's
dream
horrible.
shattered.
Yep. I can start
Say
this.
no, kids. Just say no.
That's right. The 2013 Heisman Trophy race promises to field a group of dual-threat quarterbacks that have displayed the ability to impact the game with their tremendous passing and rushing skills. The trend of all-purpose quarterbacks dominating the Heisman chase continued in 2012 as Texas A&M's Johnny Manziel captured college football's top individual award. Heisman voters have had a fascination with these athletes and have redefined the quarterback position in recent years. Florida's Tim Tebow opened up the floodgates of this new Heisman era by running and passing his way to the Bronze Trophy in 2007. Since then, this award has been garnered by similar performances from Auburn's Cam Newton, Baylor's Robert Griffin III, and the Aggies' Johnny Football.
Nice work, my friend.
Awesome.
Come on, people, hire him. Get some sports.
Absolutely.
Get the sports going and do something.
One thing that I may have mentioned with you guys, certainly off the air, I have done emceeing for certain events and public speaking as well. Not as much as the other things, but I have done that also.
A little more pressure there, huh? No, no editing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when you're master of ceremonies is a little bit different. Yeah, you just got to be prepared. And hopefully the people that you work for are helping you get prepared.
Right.
You know, that's the bottom line. If they don't give you anything, and like if you mess up somebody's introduction, oh, well, you know, you didn't help me out, right?
Yeah.
So
it's been great.
We got 10 minutes left here on the show, and I want to just talk about with this final 10 minutes. You're really good at networking, my friend. You're really good at connecting with people locally.
That's how I met you.
Yeah, exactly. That a lot of people don't want to break away from offline. They don't want to break away from the internet to get their jobs, as far as voiceover, as far as what they do. But in your case, that is what you excel in. And I want you just to give some pointers to people out there that are looking for other alternatives outside of staring at their computer all day to get work. And I want you to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's crucial. And like I said before, I'm a communications guy. So it's extremely vital that you get out and meet people. A lot of the people that I've met that I worked for, with radio or with WHHI TV, with the Bluffton Chamber Young Professionals Group. If I can do a quick plug, just for a second, we've got our event coming up on Wednesday, and it's going to be really good. It's at the Bluffton Trading Post, and Dan Weisner is going to be with us. We're going to be doing some games. We're going to be outside. Please wear a mask. We're going to be distancing. And it's going to be great just to see everybody out and about. Bring your business cards. I've heard there may be some prizes, a few other things that need ironed down for sure. But it's going to be great. 5:30 to 7 at the Bluffton Trading Post on Wednesday night. And so it's important to be out in the public and get to meet other people certainly that way. I consider, everybody that I've met throughout my experiences here in South Carolina and certainly a lot in Ohio, I've got, and I don't mean this in a cocky way or anything, but I have so many, and I'm so blessed. I have so many people in my corner, friends and family. And so that's a big part of it, is getting out and sharing your experiences and getting to meet people rather than just indeed staring at a computer all day, every day.
Right.
If you're trying to do it for work, staring at a computer has a lot of really bad effects if you do it long enough, including it makes it really hard to sleep.
Right.
So, it's good to get out, get a little exercise in, and meet people and understand what they're trying to do too, and work together.
Yeah, I think your social skills take a hit, man, when you're just communicating through text all the time and messaging and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, granted, these Zoom meetings are, great. Now that we can communicate,
they have been great
like this, especially through the crisis, right?
Right. I've done with BCYP and this group and other things too a little bit. They've been great, but it's good to get out and do what you can do within the resources that we have. So it's very important, and I know these are not easy times.
No,
for sure. It's good for self-morale and the morale of the community too.
Yeah, it's always, if you're doing this alone, it's going to be a really hard climb.
Yeah.
Really hard mountain to climb. So yeah, it's always better to do in groups. And, when you talk about, take your work seriously, don't take yourself so seriously. Talk about that.
That was actually something that my dad told me a long time ago. Probably, and considering, my age, it was about 15 or so years ago. I was, working really hard. I was never the best student. I was never a straight A student,
I know
but
the
I
feeling.
but I worked really hard at it, both in high school and in college. Um, and there were some times where things got overwhelming for me, whether it was with hitting the books or some of the extracurriculars I was involved in. And he told me those very simple things, including to take what you're doing seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And that's what I was doing at the time. Was I was taking myself extremely seriously. And pretty much he was telling me to loosen up.
Loosen up. Yeah.
And,
Yeah, you got to
and I'm
laugh at
glad
yourself. You got to be able to laugh.
that he did that.
Yeah,
And it's helped.
and I believe that's the way to grow is you make mistakes. You got to laugh at yourself, man. And that's if you don't have any sense of humor, inward, then yeah, don't take yourself too serious. I agree with that completely.
Yep. It's crucial.
It's,
And especially as hard as it might be during these times, it's crucial to do it now more than ever.
Marcus, go give yourself a plug real quick.
Yep. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Alignable as of now, and certainly do a lot of Facebook videos, and I'm on Twitter a lot, and certainly check in with LinkedIn and Alignable. So just search my name and make that contact, and we'll see what we can do.
absolutely, absolutely. And Mark Walsh, I appreciate you coming on today, man. It's been I
Thanks,
learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I know all you folks out there are going to learn a lot as well, which is good. It's something
As
that
usual.
I haven't done a lot of as far as the announcing and stuff like that. But again, Mark, thank you for joining us for VO's Padded Room. And
Yes.
you guys are listening, check us out on our website here at a-vos-padded-room.captivate.fm. And we are also on the Apple Podcast, iTunes, whatever, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch more. So
Hey, just, guys, leave us go to iTunes, go to Stitcher, go to Spotify, go wherever VO's Padded Room is. Comment, like, share with the world. Help us out. We'll help you out. We'll keep bringing on awesome guests to help you guide your way through this craziness in the padded room. And it's been a pleasure, Marcus. And we'll talk to you here
Okay.
soon.